Welcome race fans to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch tonight. Trey Shuttlesworth and Trey Patton are with me in the booth. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the 9th annual IORL Hire Eric Bodwin in Michigan 500K, presented by the United Sim Racing Association. We join you tonight from the Legacy Michigan International Speedway for round 10 of 12 in the season. For Scott List Rambler sitting on pole, Rick Ray Vaughn to his outside, Cole Freilich in third, Marcus, I'm gonna say Jesdal, I'm hoping that's correct, starting to his outside in fourth. Your top five going to be rounded out by Nate Sefker, Bruno Carnero, the last winner that we had on PitStop TV back in Detroit. He's going to roll off 6th place, come to the green flag, and these guys are already off and away before I was even ready for it. Scott List Rambler's going to roll away with the race lead. Of course, he started on pole, and he's going to lead the field down into turn number 1. Rick Ray Vaughn second, Cole Freilich in third, then it's Marcus Jesdal.
We were single file on the entry at turn 1 there on the start of lap 1, but we're double file, 2 rows deep, side by side for lead. It's going to be Ray Vaughn and Rambler, and I'm sure that's going to be most of the story for most of the day here today. But the legs of Cole Freilich is also looking to the inside here. A lot of guys looking for the lead here. We know tire wear is going to be an absolutely massive factor here, so I think track position is going to be key.
As we come up to the round of lap number 1, looks like Scott Rambler is going to get that lap, but he's not alone, as the outside line is actually charging as we go into turn 2.
No, in terms of open wheel cars, the Dallara IR18 on a big oval like this doesn't have a lot of downforce. It has a very narrow rear wing and a very small front wing. So when you're behind another car, you're going to be absolutely screaming for grip in the corners.
And definitely in these cars, that grip is the one thing you need. Because if you don't have any grip, you are bound to hit that wall.
Oh, wreck in the back!
Two cars.
That's Jesdal.
And Trowbridge is involved in this, it looks like he is. So the AJ Foyt throwback already destroyed. There's a lot of damage. Jesdal, you mentioned, involved in this. You can see his 43 torn up to the bottom of turn 3 here. Well, of course, get a replay up on your screen. We saw it happen in the background. We were watching the leaders battle. Freilich was bringing the fight suddenly to Rick Ray Vaughn, and it was looking like a pretty good battle. Freilich got the lead for a moment, but further back in your field, this is around the 12th position when this all happens. Trowbridge, you see him come up on the bottom side. He's got a full head of steam, and he's just going to run square, well, not square in the back, but just smack in the back of Jesdal, and then there's more contact, and that's what involves Jesdal further. So Trowbridge kind of just misinterpreted, I think, the run-up that he would get to Jesdal's machine, but then there's a second part of contact there.
So they've got a little bit of experience here as the pace car's aim, as we are now green, taking lap 22.
So the green flag fly is on the field once more. Rick Ray Vaughn, your race leader, he's got a bit of a jump already over Kieran Brugelli in second place. Cole Freilich in third, Scott List Rambler in fourth, and then it's Nate Sefker in fifth, actually, and he's doing pretty good. I don't recall this name, actually, at all from Indianapolis or Detroit, so I'm glad that he's running up front. He's running 5th place currently as we go back green flag racing. Stephen Ellis, though, he's sitting 6th. He's got company from Blake Erickson a little ways back, and then Chris Walker, Timothy Bates, Noah Carmichael going to round out the battle for the top 10.
If we're looking at tracks like Indianapolis, a full green flag pit cycle is about...
That's Freilich wrecking, and he's got Sefker in it. Oh, and Sefker's just been run over. Who was that? Was that Stephen Ellis? No, that was Blake Erickson that just ran smack in the back. No, it wasn't. Who was it that hit him? It was Stephen Ellis.
Still green, though.
We saw him get tight underneath Brugelli. I wonder if he hasn't been quite as aggressive on the adjustments that you can now make with these fixed setups as he maybe should have been. No, he gets loose. Drives him into the fence, collects Sefker, and then Sefker gets hit by Ellis. So we need to go find Sefker now. I forget which number he is. Ray Vaughn comes down the pit lane. The first pit stop that we've seen under green flag conditions. This is, I would think, a little bit early. Even with that early yellow we had, this seems a bit early for a pit stop. We'll see what the strategy then is for Rick Ray Vaughn, one of our sponsors this evening.
Going back onto the track, he is now a lap down. Caution is out, so that was actually really good for Corey there. Very good timing, as he was actually in pit road, so that won't hurt him from getting another lap down. So very good call on his end.
And this is going to involve Ray Dolly. He was involved a little bit in that skirmish down the backstretch to bring out the first yellow. Oh, it's Noah Carmichael, one of our commentators involved in this one. He enters on the top like normal. I think he just drives too far down. He does. He just drives onto the apron. Scottless Rambler, our race leader, he's going to lead the field back across the stripe into the restart zone that is not painted, unfortunately. I wish we had that graphic on the racetrack. That'd be so cool. Regardless, Scottless Rambler leads us back to the green flag. I should probably take the Rick Ravon logo off the screen. And, man, already a two-wide fight between Timothy Bates and Bruno Carnero off into turn 1.
We're 3 wide on the entry of turn 2. Still 3 wide down the
Oh! Yep, there they go.
There's a caution.
And that's Bruggelli again.
No yellow by race control.
Narwaki involved, and they're going to keep racing. There's the caution. Yeah, that needs a caution. That cannot be left green. That was a big incident out of turn 2. Trowbridge makes a little bit of contact with Ericsson, ends up involving Bruggelli. Narwaki was involved. I think that's, yeah, Narwaki. Narwaki, rather, not Narwaki, Narwhal. Anyways, we'll get a replay on things, and this is going to all happen out of turn 2. As again, Trowbridge will even go on board of the 74. He just gets a run up on Ericsson. He's battling to the inside of Bates. He's going to do pretty well there, and he just kind of comes up out of the corner and collects the left rear.
The unfortunate thing there is that he's basically going to come away scot-free.
Go back, green flag racing. Rick Ravon, your race leader, and gets a big jump over Joey Newsel, who is second place. Zach Buchanan, though, battling with Timothy Bates out of 2.
We have a caution flag out on the track.
It's a big one. Ericsson stuck in the fence. Franklin Ash, Noah Carmichael involved. Trowbridge involved. Oh, my gosh.
You hate to see it.
I believe a race win is somewhere around 24 or 25 points. Oh, Tim's gets loose. He's going to spin off of the exit of turn 2 there. Not going to be a caution. And it's a single car incident, so I think Racing Control is going to not wave a yellow, but he does spin back up onto the track. That's really dangerous. Still struggling to get grip into those fires.
There's the caution.
It was an iRacing controlled caution. I'm not too sure about that. It looked like he was trying to get the yellow wave by iRacing Race Control.
Oh, he's going to get... That was Rick Ravon! Oh my gosh!
Was that Rick Ravon?
That was Rick Ravon!
Oh, no. There's definitely, if there wasn't going to be a penalty for sitting there before, there's definitely one now.
I would imagine this will be Ravon's fast repair, and he'll stay in the race. But now, if there is an incident racing for the win, Ravon's out.
So we're going to go on board with Ravon here, and
he sees that. Oh, yeah, I mean, I can't blame him. He sees the slow car up top, and Tim's just hits the throttle and spins it. And, I mean, Ravon has nowhere to go at that point. He's committed to the bottom. I can't blame him.
Nope. If he's holding the brake, that's the correct line to go. So, Rick Ravon did absolutely nothing wrong there, and unfortunately, he's going to pay the price there. Like you said, though, I am sure he has a fast repair. I'd hope he has a fast repair because he's kept the car very clean today. So I guess we'll find out. I don't think he's out of contention, as long as he has that fast repair. Rick Ravon, after that incident, he's still going to be leading to the field to the green. Look right behind him. You have Scottless Rambler. Green flag in the air. Have about 30 laps of action left here. Let's see who goes for the win here. So it could be tight. We'll find out if it's going to be an issue if Frelick pits in the next
Whoa!
lap. Oh!
Chris Walker's in the wall hard. And that turns everything on its head. That's going to hurt Sefker, who was saving fuel. That's going to hurt, obviously, Walker and take him out of this battle for the win. I want to get a replay up and just see what happens here. I mean, does he just get tight? Yeah, he just gets tight. Just trying to stay in the throttle. Does a bit of a wheelie. And, man, that's going to just end his race almost. It's going to take away his chance of getting up there and winning this for sure, I think. And he's pitting.
Yep.
He's giving no indications. Oh, that's down to 30. He's pitting. It's going to be close.
That is a 35-lap run for Cole Frelick right there. We're coming to 10 laps to go, and these guys are on 24 laps of running. We're right on the border.
This is going to be close. This is going to be great. It's going to be 34, 35 laps when they're done with this thing to the end. So I mean, it's going to be tight. That said, that was all green flag, so I think these guys are actually good. These guys, of course, ran those first few laps into caution, so let's keep that in mind as well. They're looking like they're going to make it. If we do get an extension, I'm not, like Trey Patton, I'm not totally clear on the green-white checkered situation. We could have an extension of the race, and that would really shake things up. And we're coming to 2 laps to go, this time by the stripe, and Scottless Rambler looking pretty stout right now, looking pretty confident. Of course, at this point, you've made your bet, it's time to lie in it. If you were going to have to pit, you would have done it closer to when Rick Ray Vaughn came in, and he probably came in as soon as he realized he was not good to the end. So if you were going to pit, you would have had to do it by now. Otherwise, you're running to the end, at least you're trying to. So we'll see how it works out for Nate Sefker, Scottless Rambler, Matt Chubb, and the likes thereof. I do want to mention Zach Buchanan, Joey Newsel. They've been battling here for 4th position. Buchanan's up over Newsel for now. Bates behind them. And it looks like, well, Rick Ray Vaughn's going to hang on to a top 10. But the white flag is out here for Scottless Rambler. And we'll see if he has the fuel to make it back around.
So Rambler is going to come through 1 and 2 right now. It sounds like he's still full into the throttle. We head down the back straightaway. We'll get an indication as to whether or not he has fuel down the back straightaway. He's looking good right now. He's stuck in 4th gear. Down the back straightaway.
Yeah, going into turn 3, a solid 222 miles an hour. He's got about 3.5 seconds. I think he could, coming out of turn 4, 210 miles an hour. He's got enough fuel. Scottless Rambler started from the pole, will win at Michigan.
Nate Sefker is going to take 2nd place in the battle with points leader Matt Chubb. Matt Chubb going to get podium points. That's a big one there for him. Newsel comes home 5th behind Zach Buchanan. Bates is coasting. He runs out of fuel right at the line. Maybe he might have just slowed down actually, but he's going to take 6th. Marcus Jesdahl will finish in 7th. Bruno Carnero takes home 8th. Ryan Narwaki is going to come across, or Narwaki rather, going to come across in 9th, and Rick Cravon, the heartbreak of the evening, isn't even going to cross the start-finish line under power. He's going to come, or well, on the racetrack, he's going to come down the pit lane, and he's going to cross and immediately go to his pit stall. Heartbreak for Rick Ray Vaughn. I mean, he did everything right until that last run, just leading, of course, bearing the full brunt of that air resistance will burn fuel much, much quicker. 111 laps led just was not meant to be. We just got confirmation. We saw the burnouts. Matt Chubb is your Season 11 IORL champion. He continues to do some burnouts. Matt, we've got you here dialed in from the booth. How does it feel to be the champion?
It feels awesome. First full-time year in this league, and just tried to be consistent all year. So, yeah, real pumped. Awesome league. Great time.
Well, consistency is, of course, key, and it's going to work out for you. We were talking about you kind of floating around the points cutoff tonight a lot, right around 10th place and a little ways back of that. And then you just slowly worked your way up. You made it up to 3rd place, finishing 3rd. It's going to wrap things up. You got 60 points on 2nd place, which is now Scottless Rambler. I mean, that's just amazing in and of itself. You came in with a 52-point lead over Madden, I do believe, and he doesn't show up, unfortunately. He's on a cross-country trip. Wish him the best of safe travels, but man, just to have 60 points at any point in such a tough points format, that's got to feel good, especially 2 races to go.
Yeah, I can't talk enough about the competition in this league. Scott, Spencer, Rick. Rick came in and ran a part-time schedule, but was strong in every race he ran. Scott's obviously the favorite in my book no matter what track we go to. So competition's tough. I think I did get a little lucky with some people missing some races, but yeah, consistency is key.
Well, that's the way it goes sometimes when it's a points format favoring consistency and just showing up to every race. That's how you do it, and that's how you've done it. We go back to Detroit, the last race we covered with you guys, and we played a recap video at the start of the show just to kind of show how things went. And it was an up and down night for you. You still, I believe, finished pretty well at Detroit. In fact, I'll pull up the results. I believe you did pretty darn well even back in Detroit. So Michigan, just as a state, pretty good for you.
Oh, yeah. Actually used to live in Michigan up in Grand Rapids, so grew up going to this Michigan track every year with my dad, so awesome to bring home the championship here.
And to be exact, you finished third at Belle Isle as well. So 2 third-place finishes here in the state of Michigan. It, excuse me, it ends up handing you this championship. I mean, just a really good season again. Consistency is key. Now, as we go into Laguna Seca and Auto Club, as we make the trek out west, what's your plan for the next couple of races?
Well, my plan for Laguna is to win the race. That's probably my favorite track on here, so I'm going to be pushing hard to W in 2020 at that track. And then California is going to be the same as this track. I skipped qualifying today. I usually do that at these big ovals just to kind of see how the race plays out in the beginning. So that'll be my plan in California, but at Laguna, I'm definitely going for the win.
Well, Matt, we wish you the best of luck the next couple of weeks. No matter what happens, though, again, you are the champion this season in the IORL, and you do it by finishing third. Just again, consistency is key. Who do you have tonight to thank tonight for your third place finish?
Yeah, I just want to thank God, my family, Lincoln Electric on the car, all the great competitors in this league, and Zach for putting it on, and then thank you to you guys for doing all these broadcasts as well.
Well, Matt, we're so happy to be here, and especially to crown a champion tonight, and over the next couple of weeks, go on your championship tour, I suppose. Are you going to change that number to 1 next season?
I haven't made that decision. I think we might have to, though. I think we're going to have to.
It's tradition, man. You got to do it. But regardless, we'll be talking to you, I'm sure, these next couple of weeks. Seems like the podium is where you like to be.
Yep, thanks for all you guys do. Appreciate it.
So Matt Chubb is crowned your Season 11 champion.
We have the man of the hour here, Scottless Rambler. Started on the pole, fastest in practice. Come back at the end to get it done. So how close were you actually on fuel at the end there?
Well, coming to the line at Checkers, I had 1.1 gallons of fuel, which would have gave me about an extra 2.5-3 laps.
Oh, so you saved a lot more fuel than we thought, because we were trying to base it off of when Cole pit, because we knew he pit a little before you guys did, but then
Welcome, race fans, to PitStop TV. As usual, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch tonight. Trey Patton and Trey Shuttlesworth are with me in the booth. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is PitStop TV's live coverage of the Don't Drive Half-Fast Grand Prix of Monterey. We join you tonight from the virtual Monterey County, California for the penultimate race of the season. Originally opened in 1957, Laguna Seca features one of racing's most most famous challenges. I got totally off train there. Anyways, the corkscrew is it's always been defining feature of Laguna Seca. Dropping nearly 60 feet from entry to exit, this hard left-right chicane forces drivers to brake up a crest and then turn into an apex they can't see. Another 40-foot drop around a sweeping left taunts drivers as Laguna Seca's biggest challenge. And Trey Patton, these IORL drivers have been preparing all week for this historic circuit, and if last week at Michigan, or 2 weeks ago rather, at Michigan, was any indicator as to the action that we can expect, we are in for a treat. It's time to see, though, how well they've done at getting acclimated to sudden drops and blind bends.
And I just expect to see, you mentioned the corkscrew there. I expect maybe a few wrecks going in there. Hopefully they'll take it easy, and then they'll get acclimated to it. As you said, 2 weeks ago, last week's race got canceled, so hopefully they've put in some time to get some practice.
Yeah, definitely excited tonight for our first visit of the season here to Laguna Seca. Of course, the only visit here at Laguna Seca, but yeah, we're just at a circuit that is quintessentially American. Lots of natural elevation changes, high-speed sections followed by low-speed, and unlike a lot of the European circuits, there's virtually no runoff here, so if a driver goes off, they're going to be punished pretty efficiently and pretty effectively. So it's going to be a very exciting show over 45 laps tonight.
That it is. Now, to make things happen, of course, if you remember back to Michigan, and you saw some of in our little race recap we just played, you'll see that we have some sponsors joining the fray and making sure that these IORL broadcasts can continue on, and bringing us one of those is actually going to be Don't Drive Half Fast. Now, to tell us a bit about Don't Drive Half Fast, we do have Zach Buchanan joining us here momentarily. And Zach, we've got a new sponsor, Don't Drive Half Fast. It's an interesting name. Go ahead and tell us about it.
Yes, sir. So, don't drive half fast. That has been my motto for my personal racing ventures. I do race go-karts, and that motto has been my motto for about 2 years now. And obviously, if you say that phrase fast enough, it sounds a little different than it doesn't sound like what it actually is. But I mean, really, it's just something fun, something kind of playful, and the big drive behind sponsoring this race is coming up very soon. Dropping some merchandise on my Facebook page to help fund my racing ventures further. So that's just kind of something fun I figured I'd do. At Zach Buchanan Racing on Facebook, at ZBuchanan4 on Twitter and Instagram. Definitely going to have dates, more information on that, but it's coming soon, and it should be awesome.
Well, awesome. So I've been seeing some of your vlogs go out, and I've been seeing that you've been racing, obviously, mostly in the Midwest. I think Gateway is where you frequent the most. But go ahead and tell us about where you've been racing, and maybe where you might be racing. I know you said dates are coming, but where you might be racing here the rest of the year.
Actually, next week, we're going over to the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 4th annual USAC karting battle at the Brickyard. We've got that. Actually, the class that I ran in last year, Ignite Senior, we had 62 karts. In just that class alone, I think somewhat over 400 karts, I believe, showed up total for the whole weekend. So it's a whole weekend thing. They let us do a parade lap around the oval. So it's just a fantastic event that USAC puts on. Outside of Indianapolis, I've been running the Ignite series out at Gateway. Really don't plan on running anywhere else this year, just due to the budget. Just trying to base that around going back to college. I started college again this year, and so money's tight. You gotta make it work. And so yeah, I've raced all over the place: Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, a bunch of various tracks, and yeah, it's just go-kart racing. That's just something I really enjoy doing.
Well, one more thing here, Zach, before I let you go. You mentioned college and still being able to, or trying to be able to race at least with your go-karts and traveling. Obviously, that takes a lot of time. College takes a lot of time. Tell us about that, the kind of challenge it is to obviously maintain a go-kart. There's a lot that goes into it. Still travel, get to the racetrack, do what you got to do there, then come home, and I mean, you're right back to schoolwork then.
Yeah, not only that, but also work. Because trying to pay rent and everything like that, yeah, not a lot of free time. My schedule is usually pretty packed, but it's just kind of keeping in mind the goal at hand. That's the main thing. Just keeping in mind what the bigger picture is in terms of my career, and then also racing itself and wherever that leads me. So that's really my drive behind staying at it and staying prepared.
Well, I know the term grassroots racing is usually associated with dirt racing, short oval stuff, be it dirt pavement, whatever. But I think that is a perfect example of grassroots racing, just trying to make it, juggling college, work, racing, paying the bills, all that. I think that's a perfect example of where you started out. Obviously, some people get a head start, and that's totally fine, but that's not everybody. The common man, if they want to get into racing, has to do it the way you're doing it right now, and that's awesome. And so go ahead and plug your socials again. Tell everybody where they can find you, and especially watch your vlogs of going to the racetrack.
Yes, sir. So on YouTube, Zach Buchanan. On Twitter and Instagram, at ZBuchanan4. And on Facebook, at Zach Buchanan Racing.
Awesome deal then. I know the last road course we covered, you had some trouble at Detroit, so go ahead, don't drive half fast, drive full fast, but don't put it into any barriers this week. I know they're a little further away, but no, for real, best of luck to you tonight. I'll be watching out for that number 4 car.
Thanks, guys.
And so that is Zach Buchanan. He's kind of the mastermind behind a lot of this here, Trey, and it's good to talk to him, kind of get his perspective on trying to make it somewhere in racing, and he's been doing a good job with his karts. Again, a lot goes into those things. A lot of work goes into maintaining a kart and making sure it's race ready every time you show up to a racetrack. So definitely, again, I think that is a prime definition of proper grassroots racing.
Yeah, I've known Zach for a few years now. Actually, probably going on 5-6 years now. The man's always been really invested in his kart racing and running his leagues, and just jump one time, as he said, always working and doing something with his kart or doing something with the league. Time management is always something that he's been really good with, and as we can see here, it's paying off for him as he's now going back to school, and hopefully everything works out for him.
Yeah, it's just awesome to see someone try to live out their dream. Of course, he's going to be at a point in time where, there's a very long ways to go, but no, especially love the work that he does here with the IORL. The league is in, I believe it's 11th or 12th season at this point in time. It's only its 3rd season on the iRacing.com service. It's actually season 11, but yeah, got its start on NR 2003, and it's been a league that's consistently hosting mock Indianapolis 500s, and it's just something that's absolutely great to see on the open wheel side on iRacing.
Yeah, our first race of Season 11 was the Indianapolis 500, but you go back to Season 10, we actually covered the finale at Pocono. And that was a lot of fun. It was a good introduction for me to really get to start covering these guys. I had raced a couple of times prior, but hadn't really gotten to have an IORL experience like that until the Season 10 finale, and we came back by a stroke of luck, honestly, for some Season 11 races, and I really hope it goes further than this. I've been enjoying every second of it. This is one of my favorite leagues to cover. I don't try to have too many favorites, of course, because I love covering all the leagues and races we have, but if I had to pick a favorite, this would at least be towards the top of the list. This is always just a really good racing product. We love showing up for IORL races. And you mentioned Season 11. It's coming to a close here soon. In fact, we have the point standings coming into tonight. You can see things have definitely gotten spread out towards the top of the list here, Patton. In fact, last week at Michigan, we actually crowned Matt Chubb as our Season 11 champion. He has locked up that title, and I believe he's done it by about a 10-point margin coming into tonight at Laguna Seca. Spencer Madden a little further back. I think he is back from his trip. I'm looking to see if he's in the field. I don't see him just yet. So he may or may not show up tonight. Hopefully he's around next week for Fontana, but you can see things have definitely changed up a bit towards the top. Scott Rambler winning a couple of weeks ago rather, at Michigan catapulted him into an even better position in the standings. He's not going to get the championship, but he's at least doing pretty well for himself, second place.
Yeah, Scott's always one of my guys up top that I expect to be battling for the championship, and as we saw, at Belle Isle and just a few other races, just consistency and luck did not go his way, so that's went Matt Chubb's way as he was able to stay consistent and get that one win to be able to lock in the championship for him. Spencer Madden obviously didn't have some luck go his way, and had to go on a trip, and as we saw Rick Ray Vaughn the last race at Michigan, dominated the whole race, and then it just came down to pit strategy and just didn't work out. So I think he'll have to settle for a 4th place finish in the standings.
Yep, you're probably right. Of course, we come into Auto Club and a lot can happen at Fontana, but just to talk a little bit more about Rambler, he did come into this season as the defending champion, so I'm sure he's going to be disappointed even though he is the runner-up, but I think the thing that he's going to be looking forward to, I mean, we've talked to him enough to know that he absolutely loves having strong competition, and there have been a lot of guys that have joined the league here this season that are probably going to challenge if they come back full-time next season.
Yeah, I'd actually forgotten Rambler wrapped up Season 10 with a title at Pocono. I was just talking about how that was our first broadcasted race for them, but yeah, I mean, Rambler's always good in an IndyCar. He's like Rick Ray Vaughn. You can always count on him being competitive, and to come up 2nd place I think is going to sting a little bit, but at the same time, he's got 3 wins. That's the most of anybody in the field. He has definitely gone on a bit of a tear this season, as he usually does, really performing well. So what? It's not a championship. It's still going to be 2nd place, still showing that he's got a lot of talent. And same for Rick Ray Vaughn. He actually came in at Indianapolis, I think race probably 3, I think, of the season. It's hard for me to recall. But he didn't come in from the start. He came in Indianapolis, and he won Indianapolis, which, of course, is a crown jewel. And since then, he has been absolutely competitive. You go back to 5th place, you see Zach Buchanan, 6th. You have Nate Siefker, who did win at Road America a few races ago. Those guys still have a few positions to settle out. Of course, you can see there, 5th place Buchanan comes in with a bit of an advantage over Siefker, but really, when it comes down to Laguna Seca, nobody's safe. This place is definitely challenging. We were watching some of these guys go around it. Now they're in their drivers' meetings, so they've all parked it for now. But, man, it is definitely a challenging circuit. And I always love covering Laguna Seca. The first time we properly got to do so is with the Lucky Dog Racing League a few months ago. But this place is definitely a lot of fun, and we can show you the track map here. If you haven't seen WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca, it's definitely a beauty. It's definitely a challenge. Turn 1 really is just a bend as you come up over the hill and get ready for 2, that hairpin, and then you get into the very technical, flat, not even complex, just series of corners, 3, 4, and 4.5, if you will, before you get to turn 5, where you actually have some camber in the corner. That sets you up for the uphill over the crest, and then down really into a landing for turn 6 as you go up the hill to turn 7 there, Patton.
Yeah, coming up out of turn 6 into turn 7, that's really when I'm driving this track. I love driving this track, but I'm not very good at it. But going to 7 into 8, down to 8A through the corkscrew is really the danger zone of this track. And then as you go through 8A through the corkscrew into turn 9, you're continuing going downhill. As we mentioned, the 60-foot to 40-foot drop going downhill into 9, down a little straightaway into 10 and 11, and back across the start-finish line. Big high-speed portion there on the last part of the track. I mean, lots of places to mess up. As you mentioned, not a lot of runoff here, so there's going to be a lot of tight racing here, especially going through that corkscrew. I hope we don't see a lot of contact. These guys have had a lot of time to practice and prepare for this race, so I know Trey Shuttlesworth will have more to talk about this track. I don't really know it very well, so I know he'll have some key points.
Yeah, Trey, honestly, I'm more accustomed to the track in a Mazda Miata, so that's a very big difference. That's a car with a lot of mechanical grip as opposed to these, very trimmed out 700 horsepower open wheel machines. But I think a lot of things can translate. Just the big thing is the fact that this place, it's nearly impossible to pull off a clean overtake without pulling off a very aggressive move. So I think the really big thing, especially in these cars as delicate as they are, is to keep consistent and constant pressure on the driver ahead of you. Because as you said, Trey, there's really minimal runoff here. So any small mistake is probably going to result in a very opportune chance to overtake someone. And the other thing is we're probably only going to see 1 to 2 pit stops. So if you want to pull some, strategy in the pits, you're not going to have that many chances today, I don't think.
Well, we have a perfect chance to see what this racetrack is really like. Not quite from the driver's seat, but darn close. Scottless Rambler is going to open up his qualifying run, going for the USRA Pole Award. And he's going to come up over that hill and over that crest into that drop for turn 6, then up the hill for 7, and of course up into the corkscrew, and that's where things get tight. Coming down what is technically turn 8, man, it's you see right there, it is challenging. You don't really know where you're turning in for at first. Then you see it comes up at you really quickly. You come up over the hill, then down at what is a blind apex at first. Come through the back end of the circuit. It's very fast, very technical, a very tight racing line, but you can still race a guy mostly side by side if you're, good enough, if you have the spatial awareness to do so. And Scottless Rambler going to begin his first flying lap. He's going to see what he can do. Usually, you can count on him, like we were just talking about, you can count on him for being quite quick in an IndyCar, but he might have some challenge for that pole award. I know Matt Chubb, when we talked to him after Michigan, he was excited to go for a race win here at Laguna Seca. He was excited to go for a race win at a track that he loves. He said his favorite track on the schedule, so I really look forward to seeing what Chubb can do. He is our Season 11 champion, as aforementioned, and he actually ended up getting second place in practice. So, I mean, he's the next quickest, and we saw him very quick at Detroit. So, Matt Chubb definitely knows how to get around a road course here in IndyCar.
Yeah, especially getting around a road course is always key. I mean, going from a street course even to a road course here, street courses are primarily tight, and then that kind of comes back to this course. Yeah, there's a little more room here, but the cornering is still very tight, as you see. I think this is Matt Chubb we're on board with watching now go through the corkscrew. Looked like Joey Newsel on his lap just nailed the outside wall. He's going to have to go back and get a new car there. Scottless Rambler just took the fastest time of the session, which right now, our USRA pole award right now currently goes to Scott Rambler with a 108.463. Marcus Jesdahl with a 109.706, which has put him third. Matt Chubb is currently second.
So as Chubb comes to the completion of lap 1 there, he's about a full second off right now, and it just shows you that the absolute raw pace that Rambler is able to put in at these kind of tracks week in and week out. I don't think that, takes any guy like Chubb out of the equation. I think a really big thing is getting the lead out of turn 2. We saw in the real life NTT Data IndyCar series here last year that Colton Herta was able to keep guys like Scott Dixon behind him coming down the hill, and from there he was able to do a lot of excellent defending on really worn tires. And as we said earlier, very hard to pass here. So if you can control the race from the get-go, I think that's going to be absolutely critical, and that's why being up front and maybe being able to get ahead of Rambler might be one of your best chances to go out there and try to pick up the W today on the last road course of the season.
Well, Rambler doesn't go any faster for his second qualifying lap. We'll see what Chubb can do. He's going to come out of turn 11, around the bend, and see what he can improve on here for lap number 2 of qualifying. Going after the USRA pole award, he's going to drop to third and gets no faster from what I can tell. And yeah, no, he actually drops about 1/100th of a second. So Chubb gets no quicker, but Jesdahl does. And Marcus Jesdahl now into P2. Another car on track going to be Cole Freilich. We saw him last at Michigan in the Budweiser throwback. For the life of me, I cannot recall the driver. I'm sorry. I don't know IndyCar drivers. We'll just say that. I've said it before. I don't keep up with IndyCar racing, but this is certainly covering SRCA and covering IORL has gotten me a little more interested. I did watch Iowa, so I'm a little proud of myself there, actually watching an IndyCar race. But regardless, qualifying underway. Siefker up to P2 in the number 2. And more drivers are getting their qualifying laps in. But before we wrap all that up, we should go ahead, pay some more bills, and keep the lights on. We obviously talked about Don't Drive Half Fast already, and really got to thank them for coming on board. Well, Zach Buchanan really for putting up the rest of the money to make sure this race could happen and happen here on PitStop TV. But we also got to thank the USRA, and that one, there we go, the USRA, the United Sim Racers words. It is not my night. The United Sim Racers Association, there we go, was created with the intent to bring racing back to the drivers. Their Grand Am showcases, the Grand Am series rather, showcases Daytona prototypes, GT4 and TC cars with fixed setups with the intent to have the driver win the race, not the setup. The season kicks off in September with the 2.4 hours of Daytona, and to learn more and to sign up, you can visit them at UnitedSimRacersAssociation.com. They are also sponsoring the Pole Award, which is important right now because currently Scottless Rambler is your pole sitter. So we'll see what Scott can do the rest of the evening, because it looks like he's going to have a pretty good start to things, currently P1. We also want to talk a little bit about Tireless Engineering and Design. And we don't actually have a plug to read off about them, but they are sponsoring our hard charger tonight, the fastest lap, and the halfway leader. So they're as well kicking things into high gear and supporting the IORL, supporting PitStop TV. So we thank them for that. I do believe Timothy Trowbridge is like the mastermind behind that, so he's currently coming down the corkscrew, and he's gonna loop it. Well, he gets the car back going, but hopefully he can get that sorted out. I think he might have damaged the front wing. Yeah, he did. The left side of the front wing a little bent up, but we do have some other guys to talk about, and Patton, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, we're going to talk about permanent makeup in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Here at Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. If you're looking for the best solutions for your PMU concerns, give them a call today to book a consultation. You can contact them at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or text them at 207-358-8683. Again, that is 207-358-8683. If you visit their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, you will see that they do monthly giveaways. If you submit your entry, who knows, you might just win.
And then we also have Whiplash Media, which is PitStop TV's parent organization. Whiplash Media specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays like you're seeing right now for this broadcast, iRacing camera packs, and much more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real motorsport with things such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Whiplash Media can currently be found on Facebook.
And those cameras in full force here tonight at Laguna Seca. We do have some times finally rolling in, more than just the top half or so of the field. We have now 12 cars, as Trowbridge gets a lap in, that have turned a time. Rambler still sits atop the standings here. The speed charts, there we go. Man, it is not my night. I don't think it's Patton's night either. Shuttlesworth, I hope you can hold things down, because I can't put words together. I don't know what the English language really is right now. Regardless, Rambler leading the way in qualifying for the USRA Pole Award. Bruno Carnero a little under a half second back. Siefker about 3/4 of a second back. And then Jesdal about 9/10. Chubb 9.5/10. And the first car a whole second back is going to be Blake Erickson in the 45. He sits 6th place. Buchanan behind him. Then it's Walker, Newsel, and Freilich, your top 10. Warren Keith in 11th. Trowbridge in 12th. And now Cuthbertson has turned a lap time almost 6 seconds off of Scott List Rambler. We're currently watching Warren Keith turn his second or possibly even third lap around the circuit. We'll see what he can do to finish up his qualifying time across the line. Does he jump any positions? He does. Warren Keith up to 9th, so a couple of spots gained there, and everything is going to matter at a place like Laguna Seca, isn't it, Patton?
Whoa, yeah, sorry about that. My chair decided to roll back on me there, but Bruno Carnero, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. What did you say?
Well, every position is going to matter. These guys getting everything they can in qualifying is going to be very, very important.
Oh, yes. Your qualifying position is most definitely going to matter, because track position is key, especially even on a road course, even on an oval. You're not going to see as much draft really on a road course. You'll see it a little bit come into play. Slipstream will come on really on a straightaway, but track position and having good qualifying position, man, you're right that today is not our day, will definitely play a factor in today's race.
Yeah, as we see the field starting to grid up, what I really like to see is the fact that our Belle Isle winner, Bruno Carnero, is currently sitting P2 on the leaderboard. He really snuck in there with the win at Detroit. We thought he didn't have the raw pace of guys like Rambler out there. There was also another driver out there who led during the middle stages, who I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But regardless, he did sneak in there near the back end, and he's sliding up on the front row in that McLaren Mercedes-inspired livery. And I just like the fact that he was within a half a second of Rambler, So, yeah, keep an eye on Canero as we head into the first overtaking zone.
So going down your starting grid, it's Scott List Rambler on pole, Bruno Canero on outside pole in second place, Nate Siefker, we said Sefker all race long at Michigan, we found out later it's Siefker, Nate Siefker in third place, Jesdal rolls off fourth, then it's Matt Chubb in fifth, Blake Erickson in sixth, a little ways back, the last couple of rows of the top 10 rather, going to be Zach Buchanan and Chris Walker in seventh and eighth, and finally Warren Keith, Joey Newsel in ninth and 10th. The rest of the field going to be made up by Cole Fralick. Just outside that top 10 is buddy Kyle Cuthbertson to his outside in 12th. And finally, the last car to turn a time, Timothy Trowbridge. And Kieran Brugelli may make the start of the race. It looks like he will. We do have a number 98 in the field. You saw Shuttlesworth's name. Just like we're having trouble speaking tonight, Shuttlesworth was having trouble registering for the race, but we got him in here. That's all that matters. Meanwhile, these guys are gritting up. And you know what? Let's go ahead and throw a few darts at just a dartboard blindly. Let's pick some drivers that may or may not win this race. But we have to avoid Scott List Rambler. That's the challenge here. So that's a little caveat here. So to even just have the best chance, I guess we could say, at unseating the 57 at the race lead, I'm going to have to go ahead and take one Marcus Jesdal. We saw him be very, very aggressive at Michigan a couple of weeks ago, and sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't, but he was actually pretty quick right there in practice and qualifying. He starts off fourth place. We'll see what the 43 can do, Patton.
I'm going to take Matt Chubb. You know, he was really looking forward to this race. As he said, he's coming here. He's already got the championship locked in, and he said he was coming to Laguna Seca for a win. So I'd be on the lookout for our current champion.
So I see you guys looking a little bit more so towards the mid-pack, but I like what we see on the front row here with Bruno Canero. He didn't impress that much early into the season. He did get into a couple of bouts with drivers in the Indianapolis 500. A couple of guys weren't happy over the radio. But we saw him survive at the absolutely terrifying Belle Isle Grand Prix circuit. And if you can survive there, I think you definitely have a chance here at Laguna Seca. So, yeah, I'll go with Bruno Canero here today.
That's a solid pick right there, taking the last road course winner that we had here on PitStop TV. So as the IORL gets ready to go green for the penultimate round of Season 11, man, what a trip it's been. Again, we came on board for Indianapolis' first race that we had this season. I believe it was the third. Rickery Vaughn shows up. I believe that was his first race with the league. Wins that thing in amazing fashion. I know you guys were in the field and you got to be a part of all that. You mentioned Carnero getting on some nerves there. We come back for Detroit a couple of races later, race 5 of 12. And then we weren't back until race 10 of 12 at Michigan. Not getting to cover some of that mid-season stretch, but we came back for a thriller at Michigan a couple of weeks ago. We get to be here for Laguna Seca. We'll be here for Auto Club next week. But out of the final corner for the final time before the green flag, it is Scott List Rambler taking the green, and we're green at Laguna Seca.
Scott List Rambler leads us down into turn 1. He's going to have all the room in the world that he needs as we see Bruno in a battle for P2 with Nate Siefker here. It looks like he clears him going into turn 3.
We're going to head up into 4 and 5, and soon we're going to head up the hill and get a little bit of elevation change here after going down the hill. So right now, your top 3 does sit as Rambler, Canero, and Siefker. Single file right now. It looks like no one's really going to challenge for an overtake here in turn 5 before we head up the hill to 6, and we're soon going to be at the corkscrew for the first time today.
The whole field getting single file very quickly. You can see them all heading up the hill to the corkscrew. Up over the hill now for Rambler, Carnero, and more. They have a bit of a lockup, and Carnero runs wide, almost gets plowed by Siefker, but Siefker's going to take the inside line through 9 and 10. We'll see if it works. No. So he loses that spot again in 9 through 10. They get single file once more. The rest of the field playing nicely. Excuse me. Something is not letting me talk right now. Sorry about that. Woo. I think we're good, but a very orderly first lap here at Laguna Seca. Sometimes you see chaos, not this time. The whole field playing nice.
Yeah, there was a little bit of aggression there on Bruno's part. As you say, he locked up. Looked like he locked up a little bit there going to turn 1. So we're on board with Marcus Jesdal here. Trailing behind in 4th place, just kind of chilling out. It's early on in the race as he's falling a little bit time. He's about 3 seconds behind our leader, Scottless Rambler. Just kind of along for the ride here. Got about half a second gap to Matt Chubb behind him. So I expect everybody just to be a little conservative here and try to get a rhythm going.
Definitely like what we're seeing there with the rotating camera like we see in real life in the IndyCar series. As we head here almost to the completion of lap 2 already, we're seeing very effectively how this track is incredibly difficult for overtaking. We saw no change of position within the top 5. Oh, and we have a spin, bottom of the corkscrew.
Yeah, it looks like Chris Walker. Chris Walker spun around. Looked like the guy in front of him may have went off track. Sorry about that. He did
start the race in P8. No, you're fine. Started the race in P8, and it looks like he's going to drop to the bottom of the board right now. Just a little bit of an update on Kieran Bergelli. I don't think he takes to the track at the moment. He currently sits with 1 lap completed, I believe, in P14 right now. And we're getting a little bit of a replay in that incident here in the corkscrew for Walker.
Newsel, it seems, was also involved in things. We're going to see Newsel's trip up and over the hill and through the corkscrew for the second time of the evening. And so Walker's going to have his issue up ahead. You see him spin. Oh, and then Newsel just misses the corner entirely. Doesn't catch the tire barrier. So good job by him to miss those tires and keep the car in one piece. For the most part, he did damage the front wing. So that's going to hurt his front downforce. But he gets off and away without too much of an issue. Meanwhile, a 3-second lead already for Scottless Rambler. It's only midway through lap 3, and he is just flying away. He's checking out.
Yeah, as we saw the last lap, we got to plug some sponsor here that he got. Right now, Rambler has our tireless engineering and design fastest lap of the race. He logged that the last lap, and doesn't look like anybody is really contending for that at all. As you see now, he's got 3.5 seconds ahead of everybody. And just he's putting on a clinic right now. I know it's early on, but he can kind of just go out for a Sunday drive at this point.
You say that, Trey Patton, and he also picked up the USRA endorsed polo board here today. Oh, we see a little bit of a lockup there, and that's Matt Jupp here, and it looks like he might soon start to fall down the leaderboard. I think that's Blake Erickson right now that's pressuring him as he heads into turn 3. We're going to have another right-hander 90 degrees left, and if he doesn't get a good exit here, he's going to be very likely to perhaps fall victim to an overtake here. So we're going to head through that full throttle corner. He's going to be able to defend for the time being, and now he just has to execute the next couple of corners to prevent an overtaking chance as we head into the corkscrew.
So Chubb had a big moment going into 1. You saw him get very out of shape with some lockup. He hangs on to the car, but he loses that position, or at least some time to Jesdal. I think he was actually trying to pass Jesdal, or was maybe getting passed back, but Chubb having some struggles, but if he just settles in here, he likes this place. I think he can figure things out. He's obviously got some pace. He's just got to rein himself back in. It's lap 4 of 45, coming to 5 of 45, so still a long ways to go. Not even a ninth of the way into things as a new fastest lap from Rambler. He keeps going faster, 108.675 now for the 57 car as he picks up some time. And Chubb, it's not showing a fastest lap for him yet. I wonder if he's picked up some dust on the wheels each time, so as it officially turned a lap time without going off track, we'll see if he turns one this next time around. But the field, honestly, very tame. I'm not sure what I was expecting, really, but I think I was expecting some more carnage, at least based on the way we saw Detroit open up. It's just kind of how it goes sometimes. You know, you got to find yourself a rhythm as a field, even. So I was honestly kind of expecting a couple more issues in these first couple of laps. These guys have definitely surprised me here, keeping things very nice and clean and green.
Yeah, I expected a little more chaos. As Matt Chubb's actually around out in the the corkscrew, excuse me. He's going to try to have to get that thing rolling as he puts it in reverse here. And he gets that back going. Not a good start of the race for our current champion, Matt Chubb, but it's still early on in this race. Anything can happen, so he can go anywhere but up from here.
So it looks like he's going to fade to the back end of the top 10. And we're side-by-side hanging into turn 2 here for P2 right now. We saw Sifker, well, we didn't on TV, I don't think. Oh, and there goes Canero, and he's around. That's really going to hurt his podium chances here today. He's already falling back 4 or 5 positions already. Currently sitting P5 on the leaderboard. It looks like he's going to merge ahead, no, rather behind Zach Buchanan Let's get a replay here. We see him look to the outside, and I think a big portion of it, yep, I think he just struggled to get back on the power, and the thing that really wasn't helping him is that he was out of the groove and probably collecting a lot of marbles on his tires and really reducing his grip. He's around again, heading up towards the corkscrew.
We're going to watch this one more time from the blimp, and then we'll see what happens to him up towards the corkscrew. So Carnero just goes wide, and then tries to get on the power to make up for losing that time to Siefker, and loses some more time. Well, obviously goes around, loses a bunch more time. And this time we'll see what happens to him up towards the corkscrew. I'd imagine it's out of turn 6. That big compression, the big landing that I talked about at the top of the show. No, that was somebody else who was around. That was Siefker. So I think I might have misunderstood what you said there. So those two, they were battling for second. Now they're battling for 5th. They keep the battle alive, just move back a few spots. But you know how I just said I was expecting more carnage, more drama? You know, I'll take the blame on that one. I say that, and then we have a couple of big spins.
Well, you want to talk about that? I believe your pick, Marcus Jesdahl, is up to 2nd, but he's still got quite a bit of a gap to our leader, Scottless Rambler, who's now pulled 11 seconds on 2nd place. So this man is just pulling away from everybody. As we see, we're still watching. I think that's Bruno Carnero. Zach Buchanan goes wide out of turn 2. Just trying to make that run. Zach Buchanan's currently running 6th. Or actually, I'm sorry, 4th place. Yeah, Zach had a little bit of lockup there as we're going to watch go through the corkscrew. Zach Buchanan, we saw he had a little bit of trouble at the last street course we went to at Belle Isle. So far, so good for that 4 machine.
Just to update you, Andrew, that was my fault initially for calling out a second Carnero spin. Like you said, it was actually Siefker who ended up spinning, and by the time he got back going, him and Carnero were, you know, right alongside each other. And they've both already overtaken Zach Buchanan on raw pace, despite, you know, being on pretty hot tires because of their spins. So right now, they're currently sitting P5 and 4 on the leaderboard, putting Marcus Jesdahl up to 2nd place and Blake Erickson right behind him for the time being. But yeah, right now we see Scottless Rambler already 12 seconds ahead, as we're going to ride on board and see what the view's like for Blake Erickson with that aero screen on board that IndyCar, new to the series this season. Of course, you don't get the benefits that you'll see here in real life on the iRacing.com service with the cockpit protection, but the visibility is still pretty decent in my opinion, especially when you're in that cockpit view on iRacing. And I mean, even there you can see that it's not that obstructive, my apologies.
So the early battle between Jesdahl and Ericsson just got hindered a bit. You saw that slow red car. That was Kieran Brugelli, I do believe. In fact, yes, it was. Kieran's having some trouble getting used to the racetrack. Perhaps why he didn't put a lap down in practice or qualifying. Or perhaps that is the reason he's having these troubles. He's going to let the field go by here down the front stretch. Kind of a sketchy place to do it, but the gesture is appreciated nonetheless, so he's going to try and get into a rhythm here. But to that battle for a second, Ericsson is definitely starting to put the pressure down on Jesdahl. I don't think any of us expected Ericsson to have this kind of pace. He was, for all intents and purposes there, he was under about a half second at one point, and then he lost some time coming out of 7 towards the top of the hill for the corkscrew. He had to lift for Brugelli, and that's what's really backed him up here. We'll see if he can get back into a rhythm and try and put some time on the 43 car, but for right now, Ericsson's still sitting on a podium.
Yeah, I feel like he's actually picked up a little bit of time now that I'm watching. Looked like Jesdahl may have locked up a little bit going into the corkscrew, unless that was just some dust picking up from the outside of the track there. But as we look from the rear camera of this of the 43 of Jesdahl, you can see the gap to Blake Erickson. He's pretty close, but you know, he's not close enough yet for an overtake, as we are now going down into turn 1. Not quite there yet, but soon enough he will be there.
The nice thing about where Ericsson is right now is just the fact that when you're not right behind a car like that, you're not going to get the massive reduction in downforce that you're going to see if you're directly behind a car that's in front of you. That's a big thing with these modern Indy cars right now, is just the fact that they tend to really make it very difficult when you're the car that's trying to overtake, when you're the following car. But yeah, definitely when you're a little bit down, it gives you a chance to maybe save the tires a little bit more than if you were right behind a guy. Especially, you have to act very quickly when to the guy in front of you when you're directly behind someone. So there are benefits, even if you can't get to that point to make an overtake attempt. So right now, we're seeing the fumes coming out of the back end of, I believe that was Canero's, but now we're going to the nose cam on Sifker, and we can see that these guys are only separated here by a couple of tenths here. So only one mistake and Canero can right ahead be right back down to P5. Like we see a little bit of a lockup there in turn 11, I believe. Yes, 11 as we head down the front straightaway here. And if we see push to pass from Sifker, that could be Sifker, that could be enough to go for an overtake here into turn 2.
Yeah, something we actually haven't even highlighted yet tonight is the fact that these drivers have push to pass to work with, and we talked about it a little bit at Detroit. So we have the telemetry on our end at least, unfortunately not on the broadcast overlays. Carnero's already down a couple of pushes on that button as we saw a slow car. I believe that was... I gotta think. That was Newsel that was slow there, my bad. Carnero's already hit the button a few times. Sifker, rather, as well. Sifker and Carnero both have used it have 7 push to passes left. There we go. So they've used it, I would imagine, 3 times because Warren Keith has 10, Scott Ramler has 10. So they've each used it 3 times. Jesdal Eriksson have each used it once. And a few other drivers, Chubb has used it twice, Buchanan once, and... you guys are going to be able to, better, I guess, illustrate this this point than I will. I believe it's, isn't it time usually that these guys have to play with instead of just pushes on the button?
Perhaps I could help there. So, I might be slightly off, but unlike what we see in the real life, we see a lockup from Canero, but unlike what we see in the real life IndyCar series, where guys get X amount of seconds and they can use it at their discretion, instead the IndyCars and iRacing have 10 pushes for a maximum of 15 seconds per one push. Okay. So you do have to be, in some cases, a bit more strategic because it's you can't be off and on. If you say like, oh, I think I'm getting a good exit, but maybe I don't want to waste it like you might have when it's just like 90 seconds to push to pass. Because once you commit to it, you have to go with it.
Yeah, I thought I recalled previously in an IndyCar race seeing that they had a timer displaying how much time a driver had left of their push to pass, and then I'm seeing just 10 through 6 being the lowest for Carnero. Carnero's actually leading right now on the push to pass in order to stay ahead of Sifker, so that's pretty interesting as well. We do have a driver who's just had a big issue. It's Chris Walker. He suddenly just jumped up to the top because he towed back to the pit lane, so we'll see if we can't find what happens to Walker in the number 71. He was doing all right trying to recover from his early spin of the corkscrew, but this issue might do him in.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. We're not even halfway through the race yet. I also noticed that Kieran Brugelli also has disconnected from the session. Oh yeah, that's not some damage that's words. Not the damage you want to have on an IndyCar. So Chris Walker's night is done as he's disconnected. Kieran Brugelli is done. While you guys were talking, I was looking throughout the field. He spun a few laps back right in front of Zach Buchanan. And so that could have been something pretty detrimental to the race, but luckily he was able to get off the track and make it clear for those guys to get by.
Just a little bit more of an update on Brugelli. We were talking about the fact that maybe he didn't have a lot of track time, and he did say in the chat actually that his first lap today was his hot lap for qualifying. So these cars are incredibly difficult, and it shows. It can be incredibly, especially at a circuit like Laguna Seca. It's not always the easiest thing to just hop in a car and get around it like you might be able to in a stock car at, say, like an intermediate track.
Yeah, I mean, things generally hold true from one oval to another. Now, I'm not saying oval racing is by any means easier than road racing, but certainly there are more things that apply from circuit to circuit on oval than there are on road, because each road course generally is quite unique compared to the previous. That said, you're still going to be able to take things from one road course, apply it to another. It's just in a different way, so you have to really get into a rhythm a lot more so, I think. I think a lot of the technique remains. It's just a matter of in the order that it works best, where as on an oval, you have the same order, you just have to find the right technique. So I think just a couple of differences there between the disciplines. That said, we're watching a great battle right now because Ericsson is backed up to Carnero and Seifker. So now we have 3 cars racing for third through 5th, and Carnero is having some big moments right now. He is well aware of Seifker in his mirrors, and he is really driving the wheels off that car to try and hang on to 4th.
Yeah, just from the looks of it here, it looks like he's mirror driving a little bit. You'll hear some of us mention that, just, mirror driving. If you don't know what that is, it's just you're looking in your mirror more than you're looking in front of you, which can cause big mistakes. As you saw, he may have locked up a few times or went a little wide. It's because he's worried about the guy behind him. If I were Bruno, I wouldn't be worrying about Seifker being behind him. I would just worry about trying to catch up to Ericsson up front.
I'll have to go with a slight disagree there, just because, like, as we saw, a weak exit right there, and you do have to utilize your mirrors to go for a defensive line into the corkscrew right there, or any other overtaking zone. And the other thing is just the push to pass, especially when you have long straightaways. It just makes it that guys can have such a massive run. It's similar to what you see in Formula 1 with the drag reduction system, where sometimes guys are completely overtaking other cars. Oh, and we see the first pin-in of the day. Canero's coming down pit road. He's going to have a little bit of a lockup, but he's going to avoid the tire barriers. And yeah, it looks like pit strategy is on. It looks like we're going to split the race into thirds at this point with a pit stop on lap 15 for Bruno Canero.
Not alone in the pit road is Carnero, because Trowbridge right there exiting right in front of him. That might have actually slowed Bruno up a bit. Trowbridge is going to be exiting the pit lane and getting back onto the racetrack after some service. Buchanan is now in, Warren Keith as well. So these drivers all coming in for their service. I believe they're the only ones that have come in. Carnero's already exiting, so Bruno already back on the racetrack. It looks like... well, I believe he took full service. I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't think you would take just fuel at this point. There's no reason to. I think if we somehow get a yellow to stack us up late, you might go for just fuel, but really, I think even then, tires going to reign supreme. Warren Keith going to get back on the racetrack. Buchanan as well. So now we wait for when Rambler might come down the pit lane. Now, Scottless Rambler, as good as he may be, I think needs to pit soon, or he's going to have to face... other cars having better lap times and possibly starting to reel him in a bit. Of course, the undercut means that a driver behind can try and catapult themselves over a driver ahead. The caveat there is if Rambler can make this fuel last about halfway through this race, he might be able to eliminate a pit stop and just manage his tires. Of course, if you played the recent F1 video games, you'll know you generally have 2 options for a pit strategy, right, for the whole race. One is higher tire management. Normally, in like a 50% race, rather, you get the 1 pit stop or 2 pit stops, and you don't take as many tires. You just kind of manage your tires throughout the race, and you actually end up being faster. Or you can just push all race, use those tires up, and you end up being a little bit slower unless you can push the extra bit out of those tires. So it's really a matter of whether or not you can save those tires. The rest of these guys, they were all in battles. They've been struggling this entire race for grip, whereas Scottless Rambler, he's absolutely being able to manage his tires up there. And while he's running away from the field, I think he's also at about 50% right now, maybe back to a 70 or so, 75. He's definitely able to save his stuff. It's a matter of whether or not he can take this fuel as far as he needs to. He needs to get to about lap 23 to do it safely.
Yeah, during all of that, Nate Seifker actually came in and got some service on his machine. He actually took out a few cones when he was coming out of pit road, so hopefully no one collects any of those. Looked like somebody, I'm not quite sure who it was, looked like somebody went a little wide. Matt Chubb, yeah, actually somebody, whoever's behind Matt Chubb, Kyle Cuthbertson actually has collected 2 cones, as you can see on the front wing. So that is definitely slowing him down as he's trying to get rid of those, but looks like those are stuck on. Oh, they're gone now. So that is good for him. That was a, you may not think that it'll slow you down, but that will most definitely slow you down. And depending on how hard you hit him, that can definitely cause damage to that front wing as Scottless Rambler is coming in for his service.
Yep, so Rambler's going to come in, and just an update there. Like you said, that could definitely cause some aerodynamic deficiency. Now, it could be something that Kupfersman, excuse me if that was a little bit off, but it's something that he could have to deal with over the course of this entire run here. And then to swap out the wing is going to be, I believe, a 5-second repair time. We also see Matt Chubb coming in, so that's going to round out your first pit cycle, and we're basically looking at 2 stops at this point. And it basically confirms what I thought coming in, is just the fact that I don't think you were going to be able to one-stop it. Just based off of the real-life IndyCar series last year, where they went about 20 laps maximum on a fuel stint, I believe.
I really wonder if the pace would be worth it to try and save that that pit stop. If you're somebody in the midfield, you might have been able to stretch it out a little bit, because you only have to get a couple of laps. Really, I think you could go to the completion of lap 22 as opposed to even 23, because, of course, we have that pace lap to get things going. I heard a big moment there.
Yeah, Bruno Carnero went around in turn 1. Wasn't trying to cut you off there, but he looped it in turn 1 there and got it back going.
So we'll see what happens. Oh, he went in underneath Ericsson. He was looking and looking and looking, and I think just a little bit of lockup, maybe even a little bit too much rear bias brought that car around. Maybe, I would imagine, some rear lockup. You don't really have wheel hop like you might have in a stock car. I suppose if you do it bad enough, you probably can wheel hop an IndyCar, but usually just get a little bit of rear lockup. It's basically the same thing. You just don't have the whole rear axle bouncing around. So he ends up locking up those rear tires a bit, goes around, keeps the car in one piece, though. He might have maybe done a little bit of floor pan damage, but I think he's okay in that number 20 Carnero is. So I think he's going to move on just fine, really. Now I look up to that battle of 2nd through 4th, possibly. In fact, depending on how this race goes, it could even end up evolving into a battle 2nd through 5th. So they're all separated by about 2.5 seconds right now. But Jesdal in 2nd, Siefker in 3rd, Ericsson in 4th, and Carnero in 5th. They all have very similar pace.
Yeah, having similar pace and even not that far separated on the track. I expect Siefker to catch up to Jesdal. As we said, Siefker's had some really good pace going on in this race, especially being on fresh tires. I mean, they're all on fresh tires, but, you know, about a 2-second gap from Siefker to Jesdal, as we're currently watching the 43 of Jesdal go through the corkscrew here. You see there's some dirt, or some sand rather, up on the track. Can definitely, as Ericsson actually a little slow through the corkscrew from what I just saw. I don't know if he saw a little more of that dust up on the track, or if he may have locked up going into there. But he's got 4th place, kind of just, and is kind of locked in right now, as Bruno Carnero's trailing about 1.7 seconds behind.
What I'm liking about the pace of Jesdal is that it's really keeping race leader Scottless Rambler in check right now. Prior to the pit cycle, he was about 6 seconds ahead of 2nd place, I believe. So despite, pulling out to that 12-second lead, he must have had a bit of an incident that we may have missed, or maybe he's just started conserving his pace a little bit. But as a race fan right now, this race for the lead isn't over. All it takes is one more off-track mistake from Rambler, and we could have a pretty head-to-head competitive race here for the lead right now. So while we're going to have a massive battle for the top 5, definitely, I think, as this race evolves over the next 20, 25 laps, don't count out that race for the lead yet.
Absolutely. So it definitely could go the way of those two having the battle. Honestly, I'm going to have to refute your point a little bit, Shuttlesworth. I don't think it's going to open itself up unless you see a couple of really big mistakes out of Rambler. He's got almost 10 seconds now, and he continues to open up that gap. And in fact, Siefker's actually starting to reel in Jesdal just a little bit, so we could have a battle there. But I want to bring the attention back to Carnero and Ericsson, because Ericsson's issues are starting to cost him quite dearly. He is now going to have to start looking in the mirror and making sure he doesn't let Carnero reel him in. That said, looking over at the push-to-pass, it's getting a bit scary there for Bruno Carnero. He's only got 3 pushes of that button left as opposed to 5 for Ericsson, so Ericsson definitely has that leg up. And then looking ahead of those two, Siefker has 6 left, Jesdal has 8, and Rambler has 10. He hasn't touched the button at all. Meanwhile, Warren Keith has used all of his up, Buchanan as well.
Yeah, using that push to pass early on, they're trying to maybe stretch their gap earlier on. I, per se, would, whenever I'm driving an IndyCar, I try to save it towards the end But, that also comes into strategy play because that stuff does not reset, if I recall correctly, because I believe you only have a certain amount per race. But, yeah, trying to use that earlier on, now it's going to, if they get to a battle closer to the end of this race, now they're going to just rely on a mistake rather than something, as you see Bruno lock up a little bit there, run a little wide, trying to catch Blake Erickson there.
I'm going to have to agree with you, Trey Pat, and oftentimes I just think it can be a lot, more intelligent really to save them in the long run, just because near the back end of the race, just speaking from personal experience, you can strike a lot of fear and intimidation in your opponents when you have a bunch of push to pass left and you're absolutely hauling and trying to, go for that overtake. And you have a lot of momentum going into braking zones at the end of long straightaways, especially at places like Watkins Glen. So, and honestly, this probably isn't the best place for the push to pass because there's only about one considerably long straightaway that I can think of, but definitely saving for later in the race, I think is a strategy that we see often employed in real life very effectively. And it just gives you also very good peace of mind.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, there's only the one opportunity to really use that push to pass to its fullest extent, and that would be the front stretch. I don't think there's anywhere else that you're really going to get the most use out of it. We do have some smoke up ahead, or some dust, rather. I don't know if somebody went off, but I didn't see any car go slow or anything like that. Actually, I think Seifkerter's lost a ton of time. He's suddenly not so far off of Ericsson and pretty far back from Jesdal. Yeah, oh, wow. Seifker really went off-road here. He was coming around turn 9, and he has a big issue here. We'll go on board and see what happens to Seifker. He's going around Cuthbertson. I wonder if there's contact. No, I don't think Cuthbertson was involved in this. I think Seifker just does it all on his own. We'll see. Oh, catches the dirt. Yep, that's going to do it every single time. That'll do it every time.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't know if he got any front end damage from that, but most definitely, coming over through the corkscrew right there, obviously said it's a blind corner, and not knowing what's ahead of you can definitely throw you off. So he could have been on some nerves there and then thrown out of routine and, just caused a simple little mistake right there, and you just see it just threw them all for a loop and went off-roading there.
He ultimately really did get saved by that access road for safety vehicles there. That really helped him straighten the car out, and then he was able to get back into the gravel. And ultimately, he doesn't lose a position. He was already clear of Ericsson by a few seconds, so right now he's already up about a second and a half on Ericsson at this point in time. Still has a long ways to go to get back to Jesdal right now, but he could definitely be in the running yet for P2, I think.
A big move from Carnero. He goes for 4th place and gets it from Blake Erickson. So Erickson now back into 5th, tries to cross him up, can't do it. Erickson going to have to fall back and try and get a handle back on things. They've got Cuthbertson just ahead, so I'm not sure if that was really the right time for Bruno to make that move. Usually you want to use that lap car as a pick. Now Erickson has the opportunity to do that to him. Nope, it's not going to work. Down the straightaway, they get on by Cuthbertson, so Cuthbertson playing nice. Doesn't want to be the defining factor in this battle. I can't blame him there. They're going to race into 6 and 7 rather, and it ends up working for Bruno, but I'm not so sure that I would have done the same thing there into turn 1 like that, or turn 2 rather. Oh, Seifker's around!
Yeah, not what you want to see. Luckily, he got it back going before the... Actually, was that the replay, or was that actually live?
That was live. We're to the replay now.
Okay.
Oh, Jesdal had that big issue. Whoa!
Yeah, just punted him right around. Luckily, he was able to get that thing fired up really quick. Threw some of those guys off there in the corkscrew. Luckily, he was able to go wide there. I'm not quite sure who that was. They had some issues there. Was that...
It was Jesdal.
Was that Jesdal?
Yeah, that was Jesdal. He goes around out of 7. That's what I was saying. He is the reason this all happened. So Jesdal has this spin, and wow, he just got on the power, I think, too much in that compression, and spun the car around, and suddenly here comes Nate Seifker, and Seifker's just got this big head of steam. It goes off track to clear him, and then gets punted off for doing so. I'm not sure that was intentional from Jesdal. I think it just ended up happening that way. Of course, Seifker going off track like that probably is already on the binders as soon as he gets back to the black there, and Jesdal just wasn't ready for it. I don't think anything was intentional in that contact, but wow.
Yeah, just pure racing incident there. And honestly, I think Jesdal was keeping his line straight enough. And we're going to actually see Jesdal come into pit road a little bit early, probably to get a front wing change there, just so he has, maximum grip here going to the end of the race. But no, honestly, I just think the big thing there is that he definitely left a lot of room on the right lane for an overtake, and what would have been an honestly probably safer overtake. Maybe, we get one more or two chances and maybe we have a different perspective. But honestly, probably could have been avoided. But yeah, at the end of the day, like you said, it's a racing incident. Let's begin the final pit cycle, though. And this is like the maximum we can go here on one fuel stop based off of historical trends right now. So Jesdal is going to have to go for the undercut, and he's going to have to go for the long haul here. He's going to be putting these tires to the ultimate test over 19 laps.
Well, we saw Rambler open the race in the same strategy. He does run wide in the access road trying to get back onto the racetrack, but I think you're totally right. Well, that was absolutely Jesdal's fault in the beginning. I think if you're Nate Siefker, especially after you just had that spin of your own, you've got to just lift sometimes. Now, I understand, obviously, you're in a race, you're trying to get that guy and get ahead of him. Obviously, every second matters, and you don't want to have to lift, but I think ultimately, right there, you've got to just preserve your own race. Trowbridge slow on the pit entry. I think he might be out of fuel. Does he get back under power? Yeah, no, he's under power, just very, very slow on pit entry. Meanwhile, this battle rages on second through fourth. Suddenly, Ericsson has the move back over Bruno Carnero for second now, as opposed to fourth, and Siefker is sitting in fourth. So, again, I'm going to have to agree with you there, Shuttlesworth. I think if you are Nate Siefker, you should sit back, but at the same time, it works out. There's no damage to his car, I don't think. Even looking at the gearbox there, I think it's all straight. So he got a big-time mulligan there, because going to the corkscrew could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah, it could have been it could have been catastrophic for him. Just somebody, even if he had a bad re-entry, somebody could have just clobbered him and even ended his night. I mean, he could have flipped over. That could have been the end of it. Just lots of things to factor in. So he definitely lucked out with that.
Yeah, unfortunate to see that incident, but I definitely like what we're seeing here in live action right now. We have a four-car absolute duel right now, and what do you know, Carnero and Siefker are absolutely nose to tail right now. I have to wonder if Carnero's on the push-to-pass right now. He might have an overtake opportunity down at the turn 2. He looks to the outside. Side by side, he could go around the outside. The last of the late breakers, not quite enough for Carnero here. We're going to head down 3 and 4, and he's around.
And that was his last push-to-pass as well. He's out of push-to-pass, and he just wrote his own story out of this one. He spins, loses a ton of time. He might be able to, on pace, catch these guys back up, especially Chubb, who's been a little off pace the entire race, just not quite vibing with the evening in general. Siefker I think he was a bit loose there out of 6. Regardless, definitely, man, that's rough for Bruno. He's been so quick all night long, and just makes a mistake going for a pass. You've got to weigh your options. I think just like we were chastising Siefker for not lifting when he had Jesdal in front of him like that, I think if you're Carnero, you still got a whole pit cycle left to go. There's a lot of race. You don't need to use your push to pass up in the first 2 pit cycles when there's a whole third left to the end of the race. I mean, you've still got now 16 laps to go as they round the start-finish line. So, man, that's the aggression that we saw at Indianapolis there from Bruno, I think. Definitely showing itself again here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, you just hit it right on there. I was about to say that just shows the aggression level of some of these drivers. Bruno, as we said, we've noted he's one of the more aggressive drivers in the field. And then as you see some people going on being conservative, not using the push to pass yet. So that's something that you had to really rely on going on further in the race, and now he doesn't have that as we're on board with Matt Chubb into the uphill portion, coming into the corkscrew, currently sitting in P4, trying to catch the 2 machine of Nate Siefker.
So we have passed the halfway point, so I do think it'd be a good time to mention the fact that our halfway leader, this is of course presented by Tireless Engineering and Design, is Scottless Rambler, who has basically led since the start of the race. I think, in fact, he's led every lap so far today just because he stayed out really late on that pit cycle and he's had the raw pace so far. So, yeah, congratulations to Rambler, and I think we might have another overtake chance. This time, Seeker on Ericsson as we head down into turn 2. He's going to look to the outside like Canaro. He's going to get on the brakes. No lockup. Still alongside, side by side, heading through the back end of it. Not going to be able to overtake here.
And that's a much cleaner effort to get by, excuse me, wow, to get by Blake Erickson. I think that's a much better display of what you should do. Of course, just a little mistake, and I'm sure, you know, it's easy for us to sit here and pick apart what a driver just did to spin around, because I'm sure in his position we would have made that mistake 99 times out of 100, but regardless, that's what you should do if you're trying to get around somebody on the outside like that. Try and go for it. If you can't, oh well, sit back. Just make sure you get out of the corner. Don't get on that throttle too early, because then you do loop the car and suddenly you're out of that battle entirely and you might not catch back up the entire race. That said, Carnero, I think, has reeled them in a tiny bit, a few tenths here and there. Still has 14 laps to go, so plenty of racing to try and reel those guys in. I was thinking maybe Chubb might dip into the pit lane. I think if you're Matt Chubb right here, you may as well pit, because you have to pit one more time. Why not try and pull the undercut?
Yeah, I agree. He's really got nothing to lose. If he can pull in the undercut, try to get that pit strategy reeling in. Well,
and now he's missing half his wing. He has to come in this time. He's missing the entire left side of his wing. We'll try and see where it happens. I'd imagine the corkscrew right here. Might have even happened earlier.
Yeah, as you see right here, he gets a little airborne, so I don't know if he clipped a little bit of that curb, or maybe got a little closer and hit.
He got the turtle.
We didn't see. Oh, he hit the turtle.
He hit the turtle there in 7, or sorry, 6. I'm getting numbers mixed up. That is turn 6. I've been calling it 7 all race. Gets the turtle in 6 and destroys the left side of the wing. Is he going to? I'd imagine he has to come in this time. That's got to be hurting the performance of that car.
Honestly, I'm surprised to see a turtle that massive at a circuit that probably takes a lot of track days and a lot of, just commuter daily cars, for people's individual, hobbyist track days out there. But, maybe it gets removed, of course, too. But I mean, all around it's a circuit that's very smooth, and we are going to see the pit in this time. And yeah, for the most part, this circuit, as long as you stay within the white lines, it's not that damaging.
Well, keep in mind, the scan of this circuit's a bit older, and I don't think IndyCar was racing here at the time that the circuit was scanned. I think the closest thing to an IndyCar that would have been racing here, maybe some lower-level open-wheel racing, but IMSA, I think, would be the closest to it with the prototypes. I don't think anything else that, would be massively damaged by a turtle would be racing here at this time. That said, of course, the circuit has undergone some changes since then. It's mostly the same. The configuration's all the same. But there are actually some refreshments happening to the circuit I saw on Facebook recently. So this place is going to look a whole lot better when IndyCar comes back here. I'm hoping they still come here for the finale this season. I know some stuff is still up in the air right now, so we're not even going to get too focused on that, unfortunately. But hopefully IndyCar still comes here for the finale. And if so, there is going to be a slight refresh to WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. I can't wait to see it. I actually saw that from the Lucky Dog Friends group that I'm in.
Oh,
so
spin in the last corner for Ericsson and another car. It's Cole Fraley.
So this is Ericsson. We're going to see him around turn 11 here momentarily. And then we'll try to find Freilich. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Freilich around.
My bad there. I caught it a little bit late.
So we'll see what happens. Oh, he just got up on the curbing on the inside on the... I guess it's a turtle. Really, it's a sausage curb, actually. And he's sitting there for a moment, actually. I think he was waiting for Ericsson to round the corner. Didn't want to do anything drastic. So then he finally gets back going. We haven't talked about Cole Fralick all night long. He's currently sitting 9th place, just having a very, very quiet race. But you know what? He's going to pick up some valuable points and try and pass more people in the standings, and that's what matters in these last couple of races, just trying to better what you've got.
Yeah, most definitely trying to better what you have, stay consistent, run down the guys in front, try to keep the gap consistent behind. As really as Blake Erickson comes in to pit road now to service that machine with 11 laps to go.
No, that's an important point that you bring up about Cole. Tonight, he came into points in the point standings. Rather, he came in 21st in points, and he's just been someone that's had struggles time and time again finishing races so far this season. Luck is just not on his way whatsoever, and finishing where he is tonight, he's going to pick up a few points, and he's really going to accelerate up the standings. Probably to the mid-teens here based off of my calculations, as long as he just keeps it clean. He could even pick up a couple more spots here. So Ericsson's going to come out, and I believe that's a contender that passes him. A couple, rather, in fact. Marcus Jesdal is going to be at the head of this line, and then Nate Siefker is going to come out right ahead of him. So here is your battle for second, third, and fourth here over the last 10 laps.
They all come out in a perfect line, but Ericsson staying out on the racetrack a bit longer is going to bite him. Jesdal pitting early despite those issues, and that spin is going to benefit him because he passed Siefker back. So a great, well, actually, no, I think he was ahead of Siefker when he pitted, but of course, because of the issue in the corkscrew. Regardless, he ends up coming out ahead of Siefker. That's very important for this battle, as these guys are, battling for silver and bronze on the podium. I don't see Ramler coming down the pit lane just yet. In fact, no, he's already down into turn 6. I'd imagine he would pit this time or next time by. He's at a stint of 17 laps, so either he's going to come around and make it 18 or 19. We saw him go, I think, to lap 18 or 19 the previous run, so I don't see him going too many more laps after this.
No, I don't see him trying to stretch it out very far. I think he pit on lap 19 the last time by, or the last pit cycle, I mean. So I don't see him trying to stretch it much further. I mean, he's got plenty of time on the board, so he's just got to make sure he has a smooth entry and doesn't mess up on pit road.
Honestly, I think it's a really wise call there from Ramler. We've seen that, he's had the ultimate pace here so far today, and I think what this is doing is preventing him from falling back into traffic in the case that a yellow flag for an issue. Whoa!
Jesdal's going to go around, big contact! Oh, man, that's going to do it for Jesdal and Siefker, I'd imagine. That's going to write them out of this one. I don't think we're going to get a full course yellow, but definitely a local yellow up the backstretch here into the corkscrew. Siefker's not going to be happy about that either, especially with Jesdal having that previous issue in the same corner so long ago and involving Siefker in it. I can't imagine what it's like to be part of Nate's crew right now. Jesdal going to come down the pit lane. We'll get a replay in a moment. Siefker as well. I thought he was maybe going to blow that pit entry, but we'll go back and see what happens. And, I mean, we saw it live. Jesdal just caught the turtle again and goes around. I mean, just a small mistake, same corner, and unfortunately in a lot larger fashion.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were one of the some of the front runners of today's race. Just very unfortunate on the latter half of this race. Just two guys that we were really looking forward to and having a really nice battle on track, and unfortunately, it just ends with two broke up race cars.
It looks like these guys may have had a fast repair, or it might just been enough damage where they only had to swap out a front wing. Regardless, they're going to come out only separated by a second or two here, right out ahead of Zach Buchanan. So right now, we're going to have a dead heat battle here for the last position in the top 5 today.
Yeah, they had that fast repair. They're just written out of any chance for likely even a podium. Jesdal in 5th and Siefker in 6th. They've got to get up to Carnero, and that's a 25-second gap after their pit stop. So certainly, I don't think they're not going to finish where either one of them deserve to. That said, I mean, big mistakes from Jesdal. Oh, and Cuthbertson actually took the corner in front of him, did not let him through. That might actually allow Siefker to reel him in a bit. So yeah, when I mentioned they're written out of this one, I didn't mean entirely, but just that they're not going to finish where they should have. Of course, they're going to finish way, way further back now, at least in terms of time. Well, not too far back in terms of position, really. They only lose the positions they were previously racing for with Carnero, Chubb, and Ericsson. So, in fact, speaking of that battle, Chubb is all over Ericsson, trying to pressure him into a mistake. We saw Bruno go around and ride himself out of this battle. Now these two are going at it, up over the hill, into the corkscrew, and Chubb not really taking a line to try and get any momentum on him or even make any ground up. He's just trying to pressure him into a mistake.
Yeah, that's really all you can do. Just try to pressure your competition as much as you can and do a mistake. As we see, he gets a good run here, backs off a little bit. No need for any contact. That's the last thing you want to have in these cars, is to get any aero damage. As we'll see, they go down into turn 1. Looks like Ericsson's going to have a better run here. Matt Chubb thought about looking like he was going to send it, as he gets a fantastic run. Not quite to get the pass there as we go into turn 3.
And just a little bit of a push-to-pass update here for our second and third place runners here. Blake Erickson, of course, he's the car defending here. He only has 3 push-to-pass. Looking to the inside is Chubb. Chubb has 6 right now. So that's going to definitely come into play here over the last 6 or 7 laps here. And honestly, I think it's going to be impressive if Erickson can pull it off, but we're going to be side-by-side coming up into the corkscrew here. And in fact, I think Chubb might be clear as we head in there. Yes, indeed. He does have to take a defensive line, but he's going to wash through the sand, and he might get a slowdown penalty, so he might have to do it one more time here for Matt Chubb.
He's got to do it over again. Chubb is certainly faster through each and every corner. You saw him through turn 2, again through, I think, turn 5. He just rolls right up to the back end of the 45, but he can't do anything with it because at that point, he's got to live for Ericsson, who's a little bit slower, but then Ericsson gets on the throttle and drives back away. So I think inadvertently it's really helping Blake's cause right now. That said, it opened the door out of 6 and up the hill to 7 and 8 in the corkscrew to give that position to Chubb initially, but then Chubb made that mistake. What this is also doing is allowing Bruno Granero to maybe enter the battle as well. He's 2 seconds back now of Matt Chubb, and suddenly I even said he's out of this one. He might not be. He might be able to roll himself back into a podium finish if he can keep making ground on these two. Chubb now quite a ways back of Blake Erickson. You wonder if he got those tires a bit too hot, a bit too dirty, and maybe can't get back up to him. Going back to what you said, Shuttlesworth, though, about Rambler, the other thing I think that his pit strategy allowed him to do was make sure nobody else led a lap.
No, that's definitely a very important point here today, and it's just going to really result in complete domination here today. In fact, he has come in for that last pit stop, which is why we see a gap of about 22 seconds, and we're side by side one more time for P2 as we head through turn 1 and down into turn 2. Chubb along the inside here. He will have the preferred line here. Ericsson very deep on the brakes, still side by side, but I think he's going to have to concede, and he will coming out of 2. Impressive effort by Ericsson, and now he's done. He's not done quite yet, and he has the preferred line here through 3 as we head into 4. That is when I think he'll finally have to concede.
Yeah, he had to give that spot up. When you're on the inside like that around turn 3, you can't get on the throttle too hard or you're going to loop that car like we've seen so many of these drivers do in other corners. So a great decision by him to not overpower the throttle and not get himself into a spin or anything like that. He doesn't quite have the pace of some of these other drivers, but he's got a lot of racecraft. Meanwhile, a battle for 5th and 6th. They go side by side into 4. Jesdal edges back ahead of Siefker. These two who have had a couple of run-ins now, and Siefker's having to try and get by Jesdal. Oh, side by side through 5. They make it work, but they're going to be side by side through a place you can't do it. Turn 6. Not going to. Whoa, man. I can't even form words now. That left me speechless. Siefker gets the spot, though.
Yeah, there was some good, tight racing here as we're going to go side by side.
Oh!
Off the track. Keeps it going. He might have a slowdown there, so that might go into the favor of Siefker. I'm not quite sure. Very aggressive on Jesdal there, trying to take it too wide into the corkscrew, but actually it looks like it worked out in the favor of Ericsson there, or of Jesdal, I apologize. But the battle's still going on as they are still nose to tail going into turn 1.
And I'll have to interject here, Shuttlesworth. I'm sorry. I think this goes back to Michigan. We know, he wasn't on the broadcast, unfortunately, for an interview, but we know that Rick Rayvon, a teammate of Siefker's, was not happy with Jesdal's racing at Michigan, and I think with Jesdal's mistakes collecting Siefker, this is some bad blood right now. Finally, Siefker gets that spot, but I think this goes back to Michigan there, Trey.
I think you're definitely hitting the nail on the head here, but to be fair, we saw absolutely pure racecraft there. There were a couple of incidents, a couple of minor incidents, but these guys came away wheel banging in cars where you really shouldn't be wheel banging, and I think they had a lot of fun, and we had a lot of fun in the booth. I'm sure everyone really enjoyed watching on PitStop TV. So, commend these guys for a clean effort, but like you said, Jesdal's proving himself to be an incredibly aggressive driver here in the series. And, it might rub people the wrong way, but as someone watching at home, absolutely love to see it.
Oh, for sure. This is exciting stuff, but at some point, you're going to upset somebody, and it's going to bite you back. I'm not so sure exactly how it's going to work out for Marcus. I like the aggressive style, to be honest. It makes for some great racing for us, at least. Oh, and a big dive into 2, and he almost collects Siefker in that. I'm glad he got that under control and didn't take out the 2 car, because that would have just fueled it even more. And at that point, if you're Marcus, you've just got to put your hands up and say, I'm sorry, man, I don't know what else you want me to say. But meanwhile, Scott List Rambler makes the tireless engineering and design fastest lap even faster, a 108.230, and he's now got 2 laps to go. Keep in mind, he's got a 24-second gap back to Matt Chubb. He doesn't have to run faster.
Yeah, very ridiculous speed coming out of that 57 machine. He's just pushing as we see Siefker go off track there through the corkscrew. And the funny thing is, regarding the Rambler, that's not even his fastest lap of the day. I believe he got into the 107s in practice. I think he ran like a 107.7 or almost even a 6. So, I mean, even that, he's still about half a second off of his fastest lap today.
The only thing with practice times with the IndyCars is just the fact that you have unlimited push to pass. So it isn't always indicative of like pure raw pace that you might see during the race. Because, I mean, you could put that on at any point in time that you're on a straightaway. So, not to say that he did or not, but like you said, though, he definitely has absolutely raw pace here. We're going to track back forward to the battle for the last podium position. So, it looks like Matt Chubb has pulled a gap of about 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds for the time being over Blake Erickson. So, right now, Erickson in that has kept the GP machine has to hold off the hard-charging Bruno Canero. And right now, we're already on the white flag lap, shockingly enough.
Scott List Rambler's blazing pace has brought us a very early white flag, at least I think earlier than we thought it would come out. So the final lap is now underway, and it's already about halfway over for race leader Scott List Rambler. He has one more time through the trickiest corner in motorsport, possibly. Maybe not the trickiest, but one of the most infamous and trickiest corners in motorsport, especially in America, the corkscrew. He doesn't mess him up. It's messed so many up tonight. This guy, I think we can start calling him Iceman just about like Kimi Räikkönen. He's going to round the final corner, and Scott List Rambler will go back-to-back in the IORL. He wins at Michigan. He turns around and wins at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Scott List Rambler in the 57, his 4th win on the season.
Yeah, that is definitely showing some dominance here. Looking back further in the field, trying to look at this battle between Siefker and Jesdal, but I think that battle's more so gone away. But we're looking at the battle of Bruno and Ericsson there as he dove it in, as we just saw, and looks like Ericsson's gonna take P3, and looks like Warren Keith actually just went off right in front of Siefker and
I think he had help from Freilich, because Freilich is now missing a big portion of the lane. Another spun car, that's Newsel there in turn 10. Man, a lot of things happening on this last lap that we'll have to catch back up with. Back to this battle with Siefker, though. Siefker's going to edge out Jesdal, and oh, they've got Freilich almost wrecking in front of him, Patton.
Yeah, definitely an exciting finish to that race. I thought Siefker had the gap pulled away, and then we panned to the battle of Ericsson and Carnero there, and just really caught me off guard as we see Buchanan going through the access road there. Yeah, there's the incident of Cole and Warren Keith, as we'll get another look at that, which really made this battle exciting, and we'll let Trey talk you through that one.
So, so we're currently watching this Warren Keith and Cole Freilich, who were battling for position P8 actually, and a massive lock up there from Keith. And I don't know what his intention was there, but it worked out well enough where he was able to get out of the way for some cars on the lead lap battling for a lot of positions here. We'll get a better perspective coming on board the top of the arrow screen here as we head up into the corkscrew, heading up the hill into turn 7 to the outside. I think the rear end is already around when he gets on the brakes, and he's very lucky to not collect Freilich in the process. So, yeah, definitely fortunate that he got away with that one for both drivers.
And then we had an issue here with Joey Newsel in the last couple of corners. We'll watch and see what happens to the number 11 Monster Energy machine. And Newsel had a very quiet race. We saw he had a couple of issues the first lap, or second lap rather, but then he got things under control, and then he just pops a turtle there on the inside of turn 9, that would be. And, well, the exit thereof anyways, and he goes around and not losing positions here, just losing more and more time here at the end of the race. Thankfully, I don't think he impacted anybody too much, but he might have slowed Zach Buchanan up just a tiny bit, but I don't think it was going to affect that battle much, if at all. Zach Buchanan ends up coming home in 7th, but Scottless Rambler then, well, this is the replay, but he was doing a reverse, and I don't mean around the track the opposite way, but literally in reverse, going around the track the right way to celebrate this one. That's impressive.
Yeah, I was just about to reiterate that. Just going on his little parade lap and going in reverse, really just showing that he is the king of this place tonight. As we see, he finished tonight with almost a 27-second gap to second place Matt Chubb as he burns it down at the start-finish line. Well-deserved victory, as he actually tags a little bit of the wall there, as we will see our top 3 burn it down at the line here at WeatherTech Raceway.
Absolutely enthralling race from start to finish. Honestly, yeah, my heart was beating pretty quickly for most of that race there. And, you know, it just makes me absolutely excited. And I really hope that IndyCar is able to come to this track in real life. We know that the pandemic has, you know, thrown the world completely for, you know, a whirl, but it's just such an incredible track with these cars. An absolutely exciting combination. And, yeah, I think these cars proved it tonight here, and I just hope we get to see it in real life with, you know, 2025 cars.
So as these guys celebrate a job well done, we're going to get to talk to a few drivers here to end things up. We're going to lead off with race winner Scottless Rambler. He's going backwards in the pit lane. But Scott, do you have a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, not only are you going backwards in the pit lane after reversing around the racetrack, you're going backwards in the pit lane on the wrong side. Now I think you're trying to find your way into the infield. Unfortunately, I wish we could drive to the victory lane, right? I'm sure you'd be very used to it at this point.
Yeah, that would definitely make it pretty fun. This is one of the only tracks on the service where you can actually get behind the pit wall and kind of goof around.
So a job very well done tonight. You end up winning by almost 27 seconds. You led every single lap. How did you do it?
Once I got a pretty good lead, around 10 seconds, I just dropped it into mix 5 and did what I could to save my tires and just focused on hitting my lines, and everything just fell into place from there. Had a couple of errant spins on my part. One earlier in the race, I just got on the throttle a little too early and clipped the curb the wrong way, and the second one, I had a car trying to let me go through the corkscrew, and the car bottomed out, and I just kind of slid it sideways. But other than that, just kind of held on, ran my lines, and chilled out.
Well, don't worry. We didn't see any of that. Quite literally. We actually there was such good racing around the rest of the racetrack that you were just on your own in your own zip code. And if you hadn't have said that, we would have never known. And we thought you had a perfect run. But no, it's been a great run for you, not just tonight, but throughout the season. Now, 4 wins on season 11. You're not going to back yourself up with another championship, but second place likely going to be wrapped up after tonight. I mean, that's got to still feel pretty good.
Oh yeah, it feels amazing. Just with some of the technical issues and some of the wrecks that I got involved in this season, kind of took me out of contention fairly early. But you can't take anything away from Chubb. His consistency and his pace has just been absolutely incredible from the road to the oval, everything, this entire season. So I can't think of anybody else I would rather lose it to, even though I don't want to give that title up.
Fair enough. That said, as we look to Fontana next week, you won the last 2-mile speedway. We have almost a clone of that next week. How do you feel?
I'm actually not a fan of Auto Club in the IndyCar. It's a little too much aero push for me. It seems like once you get out front and the tires kind of fade away, nobody can touch you unless you make a mistake in the corner, which if you're driving well within your means, you should be fine the entire race. But it's really going to make it hard to even play the fuel game there because you can't really draft somebody for too long. So not really looking too optimistic. I'll probably finish fairly decently, but not entirely sure.
Well, Scott, it's another race won for you. Who makes it happen for you? I always mention at the top of the show that you and Rick Ray Vaughn are some of the best in an IndyCar on iRacing. I'm sure there's absolutely better. I don't want to give you too much credit. I'm sorry. That probably sounds pretty bad. But no, you guys are generally the class of the field, and in the IndyCar races that we cover at least. You guys are just so quick. And, I mean, it kind of, I guess, negates some of the competition. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. But, I mean, there has to be somebody helping you out. It can't just be Scott List Rambler. Am I right?
Actually, as far as the IndyCar stuff goes, it is just me. A lot of the stuff that I do for other leagues, I've got teammates that I'll practice with. The endurance races, got John Poole and Steven to help me out on that end. But as far as the IndyCar stuff, I pretty much just show up, practice, and do what I do.
Well, Scott, I'm sure we'll be talking to you in some capacity next week at Fontana. Best of luck to you there, Auto Club Speedway. We're going to stay in the state of California, just go south a bit, and we'll see you there.
All right, thank you guys, and thanks to everybody that tuned in to watch tonight.
So Scott List Rambler wrapping up yet another victory. That's now 4 on the season. It sounds like, well, you know what? We're going to see if we can grab Matt Chubb. It sounds like we might not get to talk to him much or at all. Patton, I'll turn it over to you.
Maybe it's Matt Chubb. You got a copy.
So it looks like we don't have him, in which case we do have a backup plan. We have one Blake Erickson ready, and Patton, I'll turn it right back over to you.
Hey, Blake Erickson, this is Patton up in the booth. You got a copy.
Read you loud and clear. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, man. You had a really nice run there, action-packed. You got a lot of TV time tonight. Started 6th place, brought it home 3rd. Just talk us through that race, man. It was very action-packed. It had a lot of action going on around you. Just talk us through it.
Yeah, man. Huge respect to Bruno and Nate and all those guys that run around me. I just kind of kept it clean. Everyone else was just making mistakes left and right. Just kept my nose clean. Wasn't really running like particularly quick laps. Just trying to keep it on the track. And yeah, managed to come in with the podium. It definitely didn't make it easy for me though. I was very, very nervous in the last 5 laps. In that last corner, I thought it was going to be a drag race, but I think Bruno got bogged down on that green AstroTurf on the outside of the last corner. But yeah, man, still living off that high. Just honestly walking back and forth in my apartment, just kind of hyping myself up. So yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, definitely paced that off. I mean, you definitely earned that that last lap battle there. I thought you kind of had it pulled away, and then Bruno came up at the last second there in the final corner. Looked like he locked it up. I was hoping he wasn't going to take it out because I was hoping for a drag race there at the finish, but as you said, ran a little wide there. But hey, man, you brought it home P3. Any sponsors, anybody you want to thank for tonight's race for finishing 3rd?
I'd like to thank Zach Buchanan for just putting on this league. I mean, I have fun every single week. This is my best finish so far, and yeah, I wouldn't be here without him and enjoying it. So yeah.
So how do you feel going into Fontana for the finale next week?
I feel pretty strong. I've been doing some testing there this week. I mean, we'll see once practice rolls around where my speed is. I'm not exactly sure where everyone's at. I mean, I'm sure Scott and Rick are going to be untouchable, but hopefully I can bring home maybe another podium or a top 5.
Yeah, we just got done talking to Scott. He said he's not particularly a big fan of Fontana, so he said he's expecting a somewhat decent finish, but he doesn't think he is going to be able to win it, so maybe we'll catch you back up in the booth next week, man.
Hey, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem, man. That is Blake Erickson, our 3rd place finish here at Laguna Seca.
And then we have one more driver to talk to. Shuttlesworth, I know we've kind of just let you do your thing over there, but it's time to get down and dirty with one Bruno Carnero. We'll bring him in here.
Bruno Carnero, do you have a copy?
I do, yes.
All right, thanks for joining us out tonight, Bruno. So the last time we broadcasted a road course with the series, you came out and took away the victory. Not quite the case today. You started second, came away with fourth place. Just walk us through your day at the office.
I'm really upset with myself, to be honest with you. I kind of did Spinala and became Vettel, spinning everywhere on power by myself. So, pretty upset with myself in that sense because I think P2 is doable for sure. Me and Nate were pretty similar in time, although he was really quick. So, it was good, trying to catch up, but just a few mistakes on my end. But it was fun. Me and Marcus on the Ash Motorsports racing team trying to make our way up the field again.
Yeah, you and Nate definitely put on a show. So I was honestly wondering, we were definitely making note and we were definitely being critical of the fact that you were using push to pass early. Just wondering if that came back to bite you there in the end, because we were hopping around quite a bit, so we didn't get to see your battles quite as much as we would have liked near the end.
Yeah, actually, I kind of looked down on my dash on lap 25 or something. I was like, holy crap, I'm almost out of push to pass. And I had a few occasions where actually my finger bumped on my button that's like pretty close to my grip points on the wheel. So I used a couple push to passes on accident where I didn't mean to, honestly. Like coming out of Andretti hairpin, which I wouldn't use in the first place. I used it there a couple times on accident. So definitely bit me in the end because I had to just kind of try to get by Blake at the end under late braking only, and I didn't have that advantage on push to pass. So it was pretty tricky. Definitely bit me in the back at the end there, but.
Hey, despite the incidents and off-track excursions, it was still enough to come away with a P4 today. So just to look ahead to next week, can we expect you at Fontana? And if so, how are you feeling about your chances heading to the Super Speedway?
I need to do some testing for sure, but yeah, I'm planning on being out there. I'm not the best on oval. It's not my quote-unquote expertise. It's not what I really focus on too much. I'm more on the road course side. So we'll see what I can do. Definitely at a disadvantage, but yeah, it should be fun. We'll see what I can do.
All right, thank you for your time, Bruno. Great job out there tonight. Any sponsors or anyone you'd like to thank out there for your efforts tonight?
Yeah, Rodizio Grill at all times, or not at all times, Rodizio Grill as always, for sponsoring myself and my professional racing career. And then obviously just here, family, friends, everyone that's been watching my stream lately. Marcus, Ash Motorsports, Franklin's been having me on board with him this year, so it's been a lot of fun and great to be on the series. So yeah.
All right, I think that's all I have today, Bruno. So yeah, just thanks again and great job on the P4 finish here today.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
That was Bruno Canero, finishes P4 today here in the oh shoot, I forgot the race title here today, here at Laguna Seca.
And so he wins the Don't Drive Half-Fast Grand Prix of Monterey. Or sorry, did I say win? I finishes third. Man, it's not been our night. Let me tell you, we've been struggling all night long. I don't know what it is with us tonight. Just something about it. It just has not worked out. But Bruno Canero, you can clearly see, as for some reason I said wins, he finishes fourth. Had a great run, as high as second throughout the race. Granted, he started there, and nobody else got higher than second unless they were one. Oh, and that was interesting. Unless they were one Scott List Rambler. Regardless, guys, that was a heck of a show, and you know, I'm not really sure what I expected coming into the evening, but I'm not so sure that I expected all that action throughout the race. I mean, that was some really, really good stuff, and it was enjoyable throughout. There was always something to talk about. Sometimes these road course races tend to get strung out and can really separate the field to where there's not a whole lot going on at any one given time, but that was not the case here tonight. That said, but just to wrap things up here, we do have to roll down the results real quick. And Patton, I'll turn it over to you for the top runners.
Finishing first, Scott List Rambler put on an absolute clunk tonight, finishing about 27 seconds over champion Matt Chubb. Blake Erickson finishes third. Bruno Carnero finishes fourth. Nate Siefker rounds out our top 5. Marcus Jesdahl, P6. Zach Buchanan, P7. Last car on the lead lap. Cole Freilich rounds out 8th. Warren Keith, 9th. And Kyle Cuthbertson finishes 10th place.
So we'll look to the back end of our leaderboard today, starting with Joey Newsel. He'll finish 2 laps down in P11. Timothy Trowbridge, sponsoring a couple of the contingency awards here today. He'll come away with a P12 finish here today. I do think we do have to make note of our hard charger and fastest lap. I'm not sure who was the hard charger today. I already exited out of the session, so I can't look at the results at the moment. But just backtracking a bit farther, we have Chris Walker. He had a lot of issues early. He'll finish 13th. And then Kieran Bruggelli, his first lap on the track was during qualifying, so just didn't have the consistency to stay out there over the course of the race. He'll finish 14th. And then you see myself on the leaderboard because I did an oopsie and I accidentally registered for this session as a driver.
Well, the fastest lap, of course, goes to Scott List Ramler. That tireless engineering and design's fast lap goes to a 108.142 for the driver of the 57 car. You can see him going backwards there, trying to give himself a new kind of challenge. Now, I'm not clear on who the hard charger may have been, but you know what? We can double check here in real time. So if we go to everybody's stats here, Matt Chubb up 3 positions, Erickson up 3 as well. And we'll just quickly page through everybody. I think that might actually be the most positions that anyone gained. 3 spots, and it's going to go to 3 separate drivers. Matt Chubb from 5th up to 2nd. Blake Erickson from 6th up to 3rd. And let's see, where was it? I know I saw somebody. Cole Freilich, oddly enough, ties for the hard charger from 11th up to 8th. So 3 hard chargers tonight, all powered by tireless engineering and designs. And man, that is certainly one way to wrap up an award, I suppose. They also had the halfway leader, which of course was Scott List Ramler. I don't think anybody had any worry there. Of course, he led the entire race, and he did get that USRA pole award and wins the Don't Drive Half-Fast Grand Prix of Monterey. So, before we wrap things up entirely here, Patton, go ahead and let's pay some bills.
Yeah, we definitely need to keep the lights on. We're going to start off with permanent makeup in Maine. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy. At Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, the owner, Ashley Bullier, is a certified micropigmentation specialist who provides professional, safe, and personalized services. If you're looking for the best solutions for your PMU concerns, give them a call today to book a consultation. You can contact them at permanentmakeupinmaine.com or call or give them a text at 207-358-8683. Again, that number is 207-358-8683. If you visit their Facebook page, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine, you will see that they do monthly giveaways. If you submit your entry, who knows, you might just win.
So our next presenting sponsor tonight, I believe, is Whiplash Media. Yes, Whiplash Media. PitStop TV's new parent organization, Whiplash Media, specializes in various sim racing resources, including paint schemes, stream overlays, iRacing camera packs, and much more. Whiplash Media is also working on its presence in real racing with things such as photography, social media management, and public relations. Whiplash Media can currently be found on Facebook.
And so that will do it. Firstly, I just want to thank you guys, man. We all had some troubles tonight, but man, we certainly worked through it just like the drivers did on the racetrack. I don't think it was anybody's night up here in the booth, but that'll conclude our coverage tonight of the IORL Don't Drive Half-Fast Grand Prix of Monterey. We at PitStop TV, thank you for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Join us Friday night for our doubleheader as the LTAC Racing League goes bluegrass in the state of Kentucky, and the Maconey Setup Shop Summer Tour gets ready for a rough and tumble evening at the Southern National Motorsports Park. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/PitStop TV and on Twitter at PitStopTV_. The bonus of doing so is you get to see the wonderful social media updates that were put out throughout the race by Noah Carmichael. We appreciate his hard work and dedication there, making sure we get that rolling. You can also follow us and watch our broadcasts at Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV and on YouTube by searching PitStop TV. This has been Trey Patton and Trey Shuttlesworth. With me on the call tonight, I'm Andrew Cardinale IV for PitStop TV. We will see you next time. Have a great night.